another great one today, John. Here we go. You know, when we thought about putting this together, we made a list of different people we wanted that were renowned in their industry. And so
we got another icon here.
We got another icon here who frequently speaks at AMAR. He's part of one of that premier plumbing rep in the Southwest.
That's right.
We got Justin from Southwest Sales here. So, hey, Justin.
Good morning. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great.
Great,
We're doing
man.
great. Thank you so
Thanks
much
for
for taking
joining
the time to do this. We really appreciate it.
Oh, you bet. I appreciate the invite, and look forward to the discussion over the next 15 or 20 minutes.
Awesome. So let's just dive right into it. Why don't you tell us a little bit how you got in the industry and how you got with Southwest Sales?
Yeah, so I've grown up in and around construction my entire life. So my grandfather owned a general contracting company in Houston, and mostly he worked on concrete, roads, bridges, and constructing metal buildings. And when I was a teenager in the summers, I'd work for him, and usually that involved digging trenches.
Oh, that's the hard work in Houston. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, for the slab pouring. And when you're 14 and 15 years old, and you can make $200 or $300 a week, you go out and dig a trench and you don't even think anything of it. But looking back now, that was crazy. Especially now, I don't know how I did it, but
you were looking forward to a hurricane coming to give you a week off, right?
I used to be a roofer, and I can tell you it was my incentive to go back to college every summer.
Exactly. Yeah. So I did that for a few years, and then he passed away when I was in high school, and we ended up dissolving the company. A lot of the family worked for him and just kind of dissolved the company. Everybody went their own ways. And then when I was in college, I actually went to work part-time for a small little local window company in Houston, and then, got out of college and stayed on with them for a few years, and then actually started my own window company and had that for a few years. And that led me to an opportunity with Atrium Windows, which was a large conglomerate at the time of window companies all across the U.S. And I worked for their Texas division, and then ultimately ended up leading their direct-to-builder division, which was all of Texas. That company got bought out by private equity, and that wasn't for me. I took a little time off, and then actually joined Southwest Sales in 2013 as the Houston manager. So I led the Houston team, and then it was about a year later, I was named as one of the principals in the agency.
Wow, that's awesome.
Awesome. Hey, could you tell us a little more about Southwest Sales?
Yeah, so Steve Ellis founded the agency back in 2000. He worked for one of the large prominent faucet companies, and he had an opportunity to purchase the Delta agency that was in North Texas. So he bought them in 2000, and then it was either a year or 2 years later, he had an opportunity to acquire the agencies that covered Central Texas and South Texas, which gave us representation for all of Texas with the exception of El Paso. We have slowly grown the business, over those 25 years. This is our 25th year in business. And I think we're up to 26 brands now that we represent. Delta Faucet Company is and will remain our anchor brand. That's the agent there. That's the manufacturer that gave us our start. And they're our largest brand and a prominent brand at that. And we are now in the lighting segment as well. And so we have a few different lighting brands that we represent, Kichler and Progress being the big two. And we have now expanded outside of Texas. We are in Oklahoma now, and just recently expanded into New Mexico as well with lighting.
Oh, wow.
And how many people do you have?
We're right around 70 plus or minus. I don't know the exact head count. We've added a few more lighting people. Since we've taken on Progress, we needed some more lighting people, so we've added some more in that regard. But I think we're right around 70 now.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, that's pretty unique, right? In the sense that a lot of lighting reps historically have come from more of the electrical side or started out as lighting reps. You guys are coming at it actually from the plumbing side, right? The bathroom and kitchen side of the house. So do you guys have showrooms and support showrooms, things like that?
We do. So our lighting team, it's, a portion of the business is sold through plumbing distribution, maybe 35, 40%. And then I want to say about 60%, if I remember right, is through electrical side. So our lighting team calls on electrical distribution. They'll call on builders, and they'll also call on showrooms as well, along with our architectural design managers. They'll integrate them and
it's complicated, right? To generate demand and then follow it through all the different channels and different people that are involved in those transactions, right?
A lot of collaboration.
I was going to say that's a really important piece,
Tell us more about that collaboration now. Is it emails and meetings or other ways of doing it?
Yes to everything. So let's start with that first. So originally when, we had a real big push a couple years ago to really amp up collaboration, and it's got a multifaceted approach for us, and that, Repfabric is a portion of that for us, because it's hugely important that our team is logging as much or everything that they can in Repfabric, whether it's activity journals, their opportunities, they're planning out their time with the planner module. We want to get as much as that captured in there as we can for multiple reasons. But then whenever we have our monthly one-on-one meetings or our sales meetings that we have every 2 weeks, it gives us something that manager can go back, or that director can go back and pull that information as a group, and they can all talk about it. So nothing's lost in translation or just lost because it wasn't recorded somewhere.
So are those things like impact jobs that you guys want to win? Is that how you're doing that every 2 weeks or so?
It could be projects. It could be an opportunity to convert a builder. It could be an opportunity to displace a different manufacturer at a wholesaler or a distributor. It could be any opportunity. We want to log any opportunity in that opportunity section in Repfabric.
Nice. So, and is that
the other thing is, you could tag people in there too. So if our lighting person's putting it in, but say it's for a builder, they can tag that builder account manager, or if it has something to do with the showroom, they can tag whoever else is responsible, so that they all see it and they all collaborate and work on that together to ensure that we don't miss it.
Nice. So, and you guys have always done very well when it comes to adoption of the CRM, right? So maybe not in your eyes, but in our eyes, we think you guys are pretty darn good.
I appreciate that.
So what's, if you were going to talk to some other rep owners or principals, what would be some of the recommendations you would give for getting adoption up?
Yeah. So, adoption first is ongoing. The beginning is the hardest. So we went from, we had sugar, we really didn't use it well though. It didn't fit us well. And then when we were exploring some other opportunities, if I remember right, it was at the AMR conference in Napa. When it was
2018, maybe 2017, 2018.
Wow.
Yep.
7 or 8 years ago. And that conversation led to some internal discussions, which we then decided to move forward, have more discussions with Repfabric, and decided to move forward with it. The biggest thing for us was trying to get our entire sales team and our inside team to adopt it quickly. So we took a unique approach in that we is a pay to play. We paid for every journal entry that our team made.
Wow.
And I think we did that for 90 or 120 days.
Wow.
3 or 4 months. And I don't remember the dollar figure, if it was $5 an entry or what it was, but in the beginning, our biggest thing was we just wanted the activity journal. So we wanted at the end of every sales call, or at the end of every day, we wanted each salesperson to go in and log the summaries from those meetings to start building that muscle memory, and to start getting them utilizing it, playing with Repfabric, using the app, using the web-based version.
Just using the voice to text.
Just using it and getting comfortable with it. And our thought was, if we could incentivize them to, earn a few extra dollars in the process, and we would gain their support. And we did, for the most part. It's like I said, it's ongoing. There's still some people that are great adopters that you still have to come back and remind from time to time that, hey, you haven't entered any summaries or opportunities this week. Where are they at? I will say something that came out of this pretty early on for us, which really solidified why activity journals were so important, is, every agency's probably had this phone call where your manufacturer goes to a buying group meeting. The week after, they call you and they tell you that they met with this wholesaler and all they did was trash us, and they haven't seen anybody from.
I haven't seen anybody for weeks or months.
So while we were on the phone call, we were able to pull up Repfabric, go to the activity journals for that particular customer, and actually said, our territory manager's been in there 9 times over the past year, and actually has met with that guy 3 times. And here's what they talked about. Like, we could tell them what they discussed, what was in the meeting, what the outcome was.
And that guy was out to lunch the 6 other times, right?
And so it solidified for us the usability and how valuable that information is. And then it really changed the conversation with that manufacturer, and that, hey, you guys are really on top of that. How can I see that information? How can I get our hands on that? Which was great. If we turned a negative into a positive.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, when I used to go to buying group meetings as the head of sales for American Standard, I had those conversations where I haven't seen anybody from your rep agency in 3 months. And the next day call my guy up, like, no, we've been there several times. Yep. But he didn't at the time have the ability that you did. They said, no, I can even tell you what we talked about too. So that's really cool. Yeah.
And we've taken that information, and a lot of agencies know this. We share this information with with as many people as we can, especially through AMR, which is we use Power BI, and we're huge on creating dashboards for Power BI. And so we take, and it integrates, and we pull dashboards out of Repfabric based on number of times the customer's seen. Basically we can make call logs.
Well, and one of the things I think is really neat about you guys is as an ESOP organization too, right? You've got a collective culture that you've created, that this is the way Southwest Sales does business, right? Maybe you could tell us about that transition a little, and how it's worked out.
Yeah. So I was pretty fortunate that I joined in, I think it was 2013, and about a year after I joined, actually, I don't even think it was a year. It was about 9 months after I joined. Steve and Kevin, who were the former two owners, sold to an ESOP. And for those that don't know, an ESOP is basically it's an employee-owned. We're an employee-owned company. We're 100% employee-owned. Some companies are 50% or 60%. We're 100. And the reason that they did that, one was it made the streamline to be sustainable and have a succession plan in place for years to come. It solidified it. So. Mm-hmm. When they made the move to that, they named Emily and myself as principals, and we were what we call, with our internal term, we call it Gen 2 or second generation.
Sure.
We have since added a few more people to that. We have a CFO now. We have another Ryan Wilkinson, who's another principal, then a lighting principal named Amy Glendo. And we have solidified that second generation. So as Steve and Kevin approach retirement, each year we take over a little bit more of the business. Yeah. And then what we've had to do because of that is now we've started to identify third generation. So that is people we put into area manager roles or what we call area director roles. They basically manage the day-to-day for their area responsibility while we work on more strategic initiatives or work with our manufacturers or different directions we want to try to take the company. It's really set that up for Steve and Kevin to slowly let us take over while they're still there to help us and give us some guidance and advice, and then to backfill our positions with people that we can train for the future as well. So right now we're working on a third generation, and it was really some pretty big foresight in Steve and Kevin's vision that they looked out 10 years down the road and said, we could do this like other agencies, which is we just ride this thing into the ground and probably make more money doing that. But our manufacturers are wanting a succession plan. They want to know what is our plan for the future. And so they try to get ahead of that, by years to really create the retirement vehicle, which is what our ESOP is. It's a retirement vehicle for all of our employees. And then in the beginning, it was funny as everyone says it's too good to be true. Everyone's like, what's it going to cost me? It doesn't cost you anything. Just come in and work hard and
work harder
and grow the business.
And after about 2 or 3 years, people started to see it. They started to see their shares hit their account, and after the following year when shares are dispersed, and, you see people working a little bit longer hours or you see them, sending emails later at night or on the weekends where previously that person probably didn't, because they're more vested. They see the outcome. If I can help grow this, then this is my reward. And you have a lot of jokes going on with people talking about, don't drink too much coffee. Don't take this. Don't take that. You're just stealing from yourself.
And I know just from talking with you guys, you've actually had to offboard some people, right? Who kind of weren't making the cut based on a lot of the evaluation criteria and activity, like you talked about with information from Repfabric and so on and so forth, right? Can you tell us a little bit about those players that didn't quite make it?
Well, with any business owner, you guys own a business, when you hire people, it's money out of your pocket. And so you have to, it's an education for the employees to understand every time you add somebody, they have to contribute. They have to help grow the business. Yeah. They have to bring value. Everything about a rep agency is how do you add value? How do you create value for yourself, or how do you create value for your manufacturer or your customers? And if you hire somebody who's not doing those things and not helping us grow, then their teammates really don't want them to be a part of this magic ride that we're on.
Right. Makes sense. Any thoughts on one of the favorite news subjects all the time on AI? How do you see that affecting you guys or not affecting you guys, or what's in the future, that kind of thing?
I do think it is. So it's something we're all still trying to learn. And we've done it. We actually have done a few sessions on this in AMR and some AMR on taps. And it's hard for us because so much of what we do is you have to have a person there to do that. But there's some things with AI that we're trying to learn. ChatGPT is a big one for writing job descriptions, policies, helping with presentations. ChatGPT has been a big help for us, and I'm sure other agencies too. The one area that we're looking at is the AI bot. we've talked about it. We've kind of looked into it a little bit, but I see bots probably as an avenue in the future because so much has moved to chatting, whether it's chatting through a website or through text message. And there's so many of those types of chats or emails that a bot can respond to with prompts to gain more information, to see what they're asking, the customer's wanting, to either provide an answer or then give that to somebody and say, hey, here's all the information. Can you answer it? And we've looked at that a little, but that's about as far as it's gone so far. We haven't invested in it or built it.
Stay tuned because we're coming out with a lot of that stuff.
Stay tuned. What you're going to see come from Repfabric, I think it'll get you guys pretty excited. So,
oh, cool.
So price and availability should go away.
John, do you have anything else?
No, it's awesome. Thank you, Justin.
Justin, thanks so much for the time. How if people want to follow Southwest Sales or they want to follow you, are you guys on LinkedIn? How would they get to you?
We are. So southwestsales.com is our website. Cool. We're also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram.
Wow.
And
social.
Man, we're blowing up. We're up to like 300 followers.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, though. I'm glad to see you guys doing that. Okay, cool. Hey, thank you so much again for taking the time, Justin. We appreciate it.
You got it. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.